Hello and welcome again to the second edition of the Friedrich Friday talk show. We've got some great guests today, and welcome to everybody joining us from around the world. I hope you've got a glass, a can, or a cup of something cold in your hands, because here in London it's 35 degrees, and you're going to want to stick around for the show we've got coming up, which is an interactive event. So we want you out there in the chat, which you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Say hello. Let us know you're out there. And we're going to be taking questions from everybody in the audience throughout the event today. So anytime you want to say hello, you've got a question for our panelists, which I'll be introducing in a second, then please do just call us out in the chat and we'll make sure we get to you. We're going to be taking questions in each of the three sections of the show today, and the main topic is the future of additive at scale in the automotive industry. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our panelists today. Please, would you like to join us, panelists? And here we go. Excellent. Gentlemen, good to see you all. Greetings from London.
Hi there.
Hello, everyone. So today we have representing EOS, we have Martin Otto, from BMW, Martin Friedrich, and from Free Your Mind, we have André Drochner. Martin Otto, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about what you do, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone out there. I hope you have a marvelous Friday. I'm Martin Otto. I'm working at EOS for 4 years now in the innovation management, and I'm working there as innovation technology partner manager, which means that I'm in charge for our external corporations and partnering, especially in the academic area. So especially if you're coming from a research institute, or development section of a company and want to partner with EOS in a research project, your good and crazy idea would probably end up on my desk. And then I would like to connect you to our internal departments. And yeah, this is basically what I do most. I'm then in charge of keeping up with our projects that are running, and the ones that are coming up. So I guess I have a bit of an insight into what's going on in the additive manufacturing industry, at least on the EOS side. And from my background, maybe I mentioned that I'm a physicist. So yeah, I come from actually renewable energies, or worked there before I joined EOS 4 years ago.
Excellent. And Martin Friedrich, you're at BMW. What do you do over there, please?
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, I'm part of the Additive Manufacturing Center on the non-metal side in BMW, and they're responsible for the research and development activities there, which means on our side everything when it comes from technology scouting, so early access to startups, new companies, new technologies, until we deliver a ready technology to our production. Everything that's in between is coming all over my desk, and I'm working there with my team to qualify new technologies, evaluate them for BMW, and also, of course, work on public funded projects together with, for example, EOS and Free Your Mind. From a background, I'm a mechanical engineer, working for BMW since 2013 now, so quite a bit in the same department. And yeah, happy to be here. Happy Friday, everyone.
Great to have you here. And finally, André Drochner from Free Your Mind. Free Your Mind are also the organizers of this event today. So thank you for your hospitality. And perhaps you can tell us a bit more about what you do and what Free Your Mind does, please.
Yes, yeah, thanks for having me as well. And happy Friday, everyone. I am in Free Your Mind on the customer-facing side, so to speak. So I am basically the link between our customers and our product. And I've been with the company for a few years now, also within the industry. And my background is mechanical engineering as well, and management. I have a production background, actually. I've also worked in the 2D industry. So in a big plant that was printing huge magazines, and I was in the production side of it. So yeah, so the problems and challenges that we are facing here in the 3D industry, kind of similar. And yeah, so I also study a little bit renewable energies. So Martin, I didn't know that you did too. You work there, and yeah, so that's my background.
That's great, and I do always chuckle when I hear people refer to it as 2D printing, because that's what we do all the time as well. And we must be probably the only industry who refer to, are you talking about 2D printing or 3D printing here? So, well, we're going to have a great talk today. We're going to get started straight away. We'll jump in with the sort of overarching theme, which is going to be AM in the automotive market here. So I think to get into this topic and really to just lay sort of the bit of the groundwork for what we're going to come to later, which is a bit more in depth. Perhaps Martin Friedrich, could you maybe tell us a little bit about the primary real applications of additive in practice at auto plants at the moment?
Of course. One question: what do you want to start to Paul before or afterwards?
Now, thank you for catching me on something very important there. Yes, you're right. It is an interactive event, and it's also a live event. We are doing, as part of that, we will be conducting a poll. So you should see on the right-hand side of your screen there several questions. Well, one question we'd like you to answer. Now, it's multiple choice. We'd like to know, how will recent global events such as the pandemic and trends towards electric vehicles change additive in the automotive industry? So we're going to come back to this a bit later, but for now, do you think AM use is going to increase? It's going to decrease, or is it going to stay the same until we unlock some of the main challenges? I'm going to leave the poll open for a bit, but we'll get back to that at a bit later on in the show. But thanks for catching me on that one. Let's get into the real applications.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So just let me explain what we in BMW do with additive manufacturing at the moment, or since basically 30 years now. So we have quite a huge history in the technologies. Started back in the days with EOS together. So also they're kind of a grown partnership because both companies are in Munich. So what we do basically, or since back in the days, is prototyping. Of course, everyone is doing it, and that's what additive manufacturing, or rapid prototyping, how it was called back in the days, is quite known for. In the last years, we see an increase and a majority of technologies, so we can use additive manufacturing even wider and broader. Serious applications, of course, but also when we look at our plants, jigs and fixtures, I think is also a topic that's quite known. We call it in BMW additive manufacturing in the production network, which means we try to roll out standards that are 3D printed all over our plants where we have benefits from it. So in the last year, we printed 300,000 parts together internally or with our partners to fulfill the BMW needs. And I think there is still more to come, which we can print in the future once the technologies are there from economical point, or the materials are there that we can fulfill the requirements.
And you mentioned you've been working closely with EOS from the start. So perhaps, Martin, Otto, could you tell us a bit more about the applications you see in practice as well across automotive?
Sure. Actually, as Martin mentioned, EOS was the first company that sold a 3D printing system to BMW 30 years back. And so BMW was the first customer of EOS too, same moment. And so we kind of have this history of that Martin just described here, and I also, of course, see the same trend as we came from the prototyping applications through small series productions, and that have grown quite a bit in not only in automotive but also in other markets. Certainly with a high degree of individualization on the one part, or certain parts with functional integration and lightweight structures, of course. And so right now we see that that is also what Martin already described a bit, that the demands are growing, and also that the requirements are growing quite a bit, and the new expectations of our customers strictly point towards more larger, bigger, faster, so and with higher quality and to a low cost at the same time. So we're right in the middle today of production ramp up, where we equip factories with additive manufacturing systems that need to produce parts actually for using them in real life applications and not only more in prototyping. So this is exactly what we see from at EOS. Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned some of the specific use cases and the real life applications. I mean, Martin Friedrich, do you have at BMW anything you can show us about these real world applications, and maybe something to show how the advantage over traditional methods operates?
Well, of course. I mean, we printed so far we printed for the serious world 150,000 serious applications, and most of you, of course, know this nice little bracket for the i8 Roadster. I mean, we're still in the low volume production in cars with a low number, not a 3 series or a 5 series, because their additive manufacturing is not yet from cost perspective. But what we can see here, for example, is a part that is used to be injection molded. You can see it on the left side. But the part was not stiff enough when it came to the fiber-filled PA6 material. So our designers, made over a couple of iterations this nice little part, which we now print out of aluminium, which is 10 times stiffer, even lighter than the aluminum than the plastic part, and so on. So this is one of our serious applications for the i8 Roadster. On the metal side, on the polymer side, we have another one also in the i8 Roadster. This is a window guide rail. This is coming in the car. We built one on the left door, one on the right door. It's a convertible, so the window is standing like without any support, any bracket, all when it's out in the car. And when you move it down and up, you need to have this little guide rail inside of the door, so it's a non-visible part, that you don't have vibration in the car. And another project that I quickly want to jump into is our EOS customized project, where we are able to fulfill the market needs when it comes to editions and small serious parts. So this is, I think, one of the first projects that is at the moment, or that is set up, where we can bring personalized editions to our markets, the markets of BMW, to the local selling units. So, for example, we have special editions for Japan, we have special editions for the German market, for the Indian market, and so on. You can customize the part there, or the market at least can customize the part, we print it, and then you get your customized Mini in the end. So those are the three series applications we have highlighted more or less, but as I told before, we have also 150,000 serious parts so far on the road.
That's incredible. And certainly you wouldn't be able to achieve that level of mass personalization with the traditional methods, I assume, when you're operating at a scale like you are at BMW. And perhaps, Martin, Otto, can you maybe show us anything that you've been working on at EOS as well?
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question to Martin Friedrich. What's your favorite part?
To be honest, I'm a plastic guy, so I need to name a plastic part, and I was really pretty much involved in the EOS customized program. But of course, I love the design and the possibilities of the i8 bracket. It's outstanding, honestly.
I like minis as well.
Pardon?
I like the Mini project as well. It's very.
I love it. We learned so much about technology there, but yeah.
Does that one have the downlighters when you leave the car as well? Is that
That's unfortunately not 3D printed. That's a projector.
Right.
But the side scuttle in the side indicator and the decoration panel in the interior, those are 3D printed. Yeah.
I have seen that one.
I think they tested it in Berlin in the drive nows. I've seen them around here.
Exactly. That was our kind of project to see how the customer reacts on it. We have a drive now, so a shared car fleet in Berlin or in Germany as well, but we tested it in Berlin. And where, every Facebook user actually could suggest names for the cars. and then we printed the first 100 sets out of. And so they were driving around Berlin, like Stella, Maxi, and so on.
What are you guys doing at EOS then, Martin?
Well, I would like to show you one application that I find kind of interesting. This is a individualized, customized 3D printed rim lock nut. It secures that no one can steal your tires from your car, actually. So and this is basically a screw with a key that is uniquely made by recording a piece of voice of the owner, and this voice waveform is then translated into a unique geometry that will be transferred into the head of the screw here. And only the owner has the key, so there's only one set of screws that can lock and unlock the wheels from your car.
Mm-hmm.
So I find this kind of interesting because this is really a application that has been developed by Ford and Trinkle and EOS, and Ford is using those really as a individualized or customized mass production part already.
That's pretty good. So that's just unique to the owner there. That's quite a nice brag to have, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you have any other components you can show us?
Excuse me?
Do you have any other components in there?
Sure. There are many more applications actually out there that are being produced. This is one example that I can show from Daimler EvoBus. We have gone through their inventory actually of parts and selected over 1,000 spare part components that has been identified to be able to be printed. And now they can reduce a little bit their inventory or their capacity of holding those spare parts for long times for those buses that are going around. And they only have to store them digitally now and can print them on demand once such a part is breaking and needs to be replaced in a bus. And here we see a huge demand in all kinds of sectors. Automotive is one of them, but also like other industries will be able to use this. And for example, we're in contact with many others like Bosch and Siemens and so on. And we're discussing this kind of use of additive manufacturing to actually produce locally for where the parts are needed, and cut in the supply chains, and also make it much more efficient and economically. Much more economic to store the parts actually only in a digital form here.
Yeah, and strengthening supply chains is very current at the moment, isn't it? It's a real
yes. Especially with Corona going on, we have seen quite an impact there too. And here, of course, the flexibility of additive manufacturing is coming to play, and you can very rapidly change production from one part to another, and even maybe from one branch to another, or addressing different markets with same equipment, basically, in very short time.
You were talking about digital inventory there and just the vast amount of components that you must actually have to review. I'm wondering, André, you probably can tell us a bit about the role that software plays in all of this, and how you sort of link all this together when you start talking about serious volumes of production.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said it actually brought on the point that it's the link between the machines. So the software is actually a vital role in developing this technology into a production technology. And as I said before, I was working in the 2D business, and that was back in 2011. And we actually had back then, we had totally digitalized the shop floor. we knew everything the machine did. We were planning digital and so on. And coming back to 3D, we're still somehow in the digital stone age sometime. We're also, I mean, we as 3Mind, we're here to change that as well. But I just want to bring the thought out there that the software is basically the underlying link between everything, because if not, then you have a machine which can produce nice parts, but that's basically it. I mean, if you look for BMW and how they produce, that's not how they would produce at all. I mean, everything needs to be controlled and remotely controlled even, and that's something that's still lacking at the moment. There's help out there from different companies attacking different parts of the cake, so to speak. And Martin was also raising a good point. Beginning with actually identifying the use cases is one huge blocking point for the industry at the moment. So from my side, I would say identifying the parts to grow the business, and then actually producing them in an industrial way. That's the role of software, and that's where software can make a huge difference.
It's a critical part of the trifecta of machines, materials, and then software really brings everything together and sets a scale. We've got a question from one of the audience, and they would like to know which AM processes are considered for mass customization in the future apart from SLS. And they've written sort of BJT.
I guess it's binder jetting, right?
Yes, binder jets. That would be it.
Martin, that's a question for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You said you're in contact with all the technologies. Of course, from EOS point of view, we're concentrating on the direct laser manufacturing for the metal, for the metal parts, and of course on the laser sintering in polymer. But of course, we're experiencing right now a large change also in this way in the market. Then because many competitors are showing up and showing that they can do many things with very different types of technologies. And of course, this has been impacting the market during the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, quite a bit. And we don't know actually where this finally will go in the end. But of course, we're looking left and right too, and trying to take this into consideration concerning our future plans, of course. But at the moment, we're very much looking into the technologies that we're offering right now. And I think that we do have quite a chance that those will come out to prove that they're able to do what is to be done in the future.
I have a thing to say to that, actually. I believe that, again, with the right software, every technology can be the next mass customization technology. Because if you take FDM, for example, if you put together hundreds of them in one production site and you control them nicely and clever, then you can also do mass customization with that. Otherwise, I think there is a lot of possibilities if you are clever in linking the technologies together. So not just one technology, but
yes, exactly.
in a chain in a chain of production that is focused on the strengths of the material, for example, on the strengths of maybe the time in this case, or the acute accuracy. So all of that plays a role, but again, I think that software is the crucial factor here to make that technology actually a mass customization technology.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would approach the thing right, like the way André described, maybe not from the software side, but from requirement side of the parts. So if you want to mass customize jewelry, then you have completely different requirements than BMW had for the mass customization of those mini parts, for example, because there you have toughness requirements on one side because you need to fulfill certain head crash requirements to get the approval. If you just want to mass customize hearing aids, you need to fulfill some health regulations. So this depends in the end. You need to find the right technology for your requirements and your material. That's basically it. But I agree with you, André. The software there is crucial because what's really important is that you can handle all the different data and make sure that the right customer gets the right part in the end.
And that's also a point, a thing that that's prohibiting growth is the lack of standards, basically, the lack of standard APIs. Everybody knows that if I buy a machine, I know that I have the standard X to connect them to my system, whatever that system might be. But that's still something that's to be developed. And another thing, Martin, Friedrich, that the Mini yours, I think, is the first application in my mind where the process is completely optimized.
In mine as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we basically the customer or the market is able to do the design online. Then we get the data, we get directly placed the ordering over the SAP system, and can so fulfill all the process steps completely digital until we get the final part, except of the printing itself and the painting afterwards. But the complete digital thread is connected there.
Let's get into that a bit later because I know we've only got a short amount of time, and we could probably talk about this. And there's a lot of questions coming in as well, which is brilliant. If you have asked a question, don't worry, I will come back to it. We do see all the questions there. But I think for now, let's jump into the next major theme that we want to have a look at, because this is a really interesting project here. I'm sure that some of you probably already know about the Additive Manufacturing Campus and the Polyline project. But Martin, over there at EOS, perhaps you could just tell us a bit more about this and how it came about and some of the background.
Sure. As we have discussed already, we see that many customers are interested also in automation, like in case of the Mine Mini project. And we also do see this on the metal side. And I don't know if you guys have seen that we set up a factory in Forel near Bremen, north of Germany, together with Daimler and Primavera Tech, which is the first fully automated additive manufacturing cell that is set up for production there. And it includes an M400 system and shared modules, cars going around, bringing the parts from production to unpacking to the post-processing stations. And we got in contact with BMW, and at the same time a call was published that was pushing automation in the additive manufacturing area in Germany. So we assembled a consortium that is called the Polyline project, and we came up with a setup where we want to automate like the polymer production line and bring everything together, just as we described before a little bit for the other applications. On the one hand, you have the physical representation, of course, of the factory. Then you have the digital representation of everything, and you need to bring everything together, and it takes quite a bit of work and effort. And we are addressing this in the Polyline project, and you see here in this slide a sketch of the factory, I say, as the artist understood it. Basically, so it's a large consortium. We are 15 partners all involved to realize this this factory setup at a location on site at the BMW site. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Martin, maybe you want to comment on this also a little bit.
Yeah, well, of course. We recently, maybe you've heard about it, we recently opened our new additive manufacturing campus. So in BMW, there's an additive manufacturing strategy company-wide, and we as Technological Center of Competence got the chance to open a huge, brand new facility for additive manufacturing with a lot of space for production, but also for R&D. And there, this polyline will be placed or will be set up for the whole project. So all partners come together. We get an EOS P5, for example, as a printer. We get the MES system of 3Mind, and every partner who is mentioned there below will bring its part, and we as the end customer and company that is giving the requirements will then evaluate the technologies and the whole line in the end and see how we can reach our goals and if we can reduce the cost the way we need to have it in the end to go into larger serious production.
So can you give us a bit of detail of why automation was needed here and how this workflow sort of operates? I can see lots of different stations here.
Of course. So when you look deeper into it, you can see on the top of the painting here, in the end, the complete digital thread. So what our first goal is to connect all the machines really digitally to a manufacturing execution system, which is really, really needed to plan the whole line in the best way. And then we approach, in the end, all the phases that the part is going through, from the design itself, from the nesting of the part, over the connections to the printers, with where our huge goal is to standardize or to get to develop standards, all the way the other projects in the call. Then we go into production. So it's not only the machine that needs to be faster and that needs to be automated, but also the material supply, material handling, unpacking. So the whole production process chain in the end, including the post-processing, where we want to surface treat parts and dye the parts, which is really key to come to an end part in the most automated way, with the goal to save costs tremendously and to just make additive manufacturing more capable to go into serious production and increase ideally quality as well with the whole approach.
Okay, and I can see there's lots of connecting arrows and things going backwards and forwards. André, I imagine that there's a bit of a communication, some software linking all of this together. Perhaps you can tell us about some of the difficulties or challenges, because this looks rather complicated.
Well, it is. It's a huge project. Just to give you a short perspective, I think now we're at 20% automation of the complete workflow, maybe 10, and our goal is to get to 90, maybe even 100. And again, if you look at the right-hand side, you see this line where the parts are being thrown onto, and we call this line integration. So to be taken seriously by a production manager at BMW, we have to get basically our production line in line as well with them, and that means that we have to automate and get data from every machine, every piece that is moving in this picture into the MES. Look at this data. Also, the quality management is a huge point, and then control the machines as well. So let's say the meta level on where the machines are talking to the MES system. The MES system is basically controlling the machines. That's something that we're going to work on in the project. And just one food for thought, when you really dive into, for example, the print, and it's a layer print, and if you photograph every and each layer and have software analyze in real time what's being printed, then you have the first step in getting the part out that you really want. And that's basically something that stabilizes the process enormously. And software is the one link to get everything flowing.
So if there's a link, I imagine you need some degree of standardization or something to communicate. How does that work?
Exactly. So there is industry standards that we are referring back to when it comes to machine connectivity. There are standards already. They're not used in a way in additive manufacturing as they are used in the, let's say, traditional production. That's something we need to change. And then when it comes to, for example, automated vehicles and other parts that are not traditionally part of the AM world in general, we have to find out a way to also make them talk to each other. That's something that we are trying to, and we will solve in this project.
So this is a 3-year project, and how far are we into this now?
1 year. Yeah,
1 year. So when those next 2 years are finished, what happens next, and how is Polyline applicable to the wider AM world and wider industry?
Of course, we see large potential here to also bring this into other markets. But of course, as for automotive, it's very important that we can reduce cost per part and make the whole line very efficient. The demand for automation is rather high as compared to other industries, where maybe if you compare to aerospace or so, where you will have small series production very far into the future, because there's not as many rockets as cars, right? Yet. So we see here the highest potential where we apply it first, but then of course there will be also considerations already made in the project during project time to adjust these ideas also for other manufacturers, for manufacturers that produce for different industries also that need a certain degree of automation to increase their output. And of course, we will be able to transfer this to not only to other applications, but also, of course, to other markets and other also other materials, basically.
So for us in this case, the goal is quite clear. If we want to increase the use of additive manufacturing in the automotive industry or in BMW, as said for myself, we need to reduce cost. And therefore, automation seems to be the key at the moment. I mean, you can increase your printing speed itself, but only the increasing printing speed doesn't mean you're getting cheaper, because then your machine is standing maybe overnight because you don't have a 3-shift working model there at the moment. So after we can, or hopefully we can reach the goal from the Polyline project and then expand the use of additive manufacturing. There is a lot of potential at the moment, but the cost needs to come there where we need to have it, where it's comparable to at least low series injection molding. Then we can talk further, and then we have further applications which will increase and turn around the whole market, I would say.
And that's also something. I mean, this call is out there because we need to put additive manufacturing in the same level as injection molding in some boundaries, of course. And the key is, as Martin said, is cost per part. And I would say as well, transparency, because getting that cost per part is not easy today. Mm-hmm. And if we really monitor all the steps from getting the design ready to getting the part on the line, then it's very easy. Well, more or less easy to get this cost out of the system rather automatically.
Well, you mentioned injection molding there, and obviously automotive has been working with many other technologies for a lot longer than with AM. So in a way, this is still early days of the relationship, although I appreciate it's quite a decent history. What do you think automotive and AM get wrong, or what misunderstand about working together in this way?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a wrong approach they would take. I mean, we're just always talking about different scenarios. Additive manufacturing is considered a really good approach if you want to go to first series validation parts. I mean, when it comes to functional validation, you always need to compare with injection molding in terms of requirements. So this might get a little bit hard because you don't have the right materials, for example. And then everyone's talking about series production. But for series production, it's quite important to get the right cost, that you're competitive. And unfortunately, when talking about the design, how injection molding works and how additive manufacturing works, and this is completely different. And typically, engineers think about injection molding designs, think about assemblies, which you could integrate with additive manufacturing. So I think what's taken into account is what you want to use additive manufacturing for, and then look at the whole process. Like I've shown with the iron roaster part, for example, is need to use the advantages that the processes and technologies provide to make the best out of it. I mean, injection molders would do something tremendously wrong if additive manufacturing can just take the same design and be more economic with it.
Yes, exactly. It's looking beyond the part and designing up. Would you agree with that, Martin?
Sure. I mean, that's the whole story. I mean, we still do get some questions like this. I produce this and that part in injection molding series production. If I 3D print it, what does it cost? And we tell our customers that's the wrong question. You know, you have to look at the whole system or subsystem that you have identified as being able to be printed in our 3D printer. And then you can integrate many things at the same time. You can reduce the number of parts that have to be produced because, for example, I could show you another part just as an example. This is a metal part again, but it's a heat exchanger, and you see the very complex structure here. Of this heat exchanger on the inside. There's fluids going around and exchanging the heat, and this is a very complex structure that cannot be manufactured in a classical way as easy, because you have to before you had to attach many metal sheets to one another. So you have many parts that have joints and things that can fail. Here you print the whole thing in one part. So you get the complexity for free, and you need to rethink the whole system at once, right? And so there's many examples where you could adjust this. This is by the way, this is an automotive part as well that is being printed.
Can I just jump in there, because I think that ties in neatly to a question we've got in the chat, which is how you get strength into a 3D printed part.
Okay, that always depends on your part. I mean,
how about the component you've just shown? Does that
yes. Of course, you can you can have integrated structures like lattices or something that give a very high strength. And Martin already showed it with the Roadster part, where you get higher strength by taking away material actually, and you make it lighter. You get it you produce faster. You make it cheaper, all at once. By making the right considerations and reinventing the part, basically.
I've got a question also. I'm going to roll a couple of questions together here. One's from me and one's from the audience. But I'd like to know maybe a little bit about the realities of bringing all those partners together. And then one of the audience is very keen to know about the role of TU Dortmund, in particular, in the Polyline project.
Maybe I can answer that as well. From an industry partner point of view. So 15 partners gathered, and it's a rather even 50-50 allocation of experience by industry partners and research institutions. And I think this is a perfect match because, as I said, we bring the experience, we know the market, also the applications. You know, Martin, Friedrich, Martin Otto as well. And the institutions, they basically bring the academic background, and this is also something that's needed in order to get the technology to the next level. So I think this brings together nicely a good set of skills, so to speak. But the TU Dortmund, maybe Martin Otto, you want to comment on that?
Well, it's actually a software institute, and they are looking at data processing in the project, and will help to analyze intelligently the monitoring data that André has talked about before.
Okay, good. Hopefully that answers the question there. Right. Well, we've only got 15 minutes left, so I'm going to jump into the next area, but we will be getting to all the questions in the Q&A, so do please keep asking. We'll make sure we have time for that. And the final part of today, we're going to be looking more about the challenges that are remaining, and what challenges need to be solved to have full-blown solutions in the additives world. So let's talk a little bit first, I think, about what lessons have been learned from implementing AM in automotive. And I think Martin Friedrich, you'd be a good person to get us started with this.
Well, yeah, there have been a couple of lessons. I think the first lesson we have to learn is that, especially the automotive industry, is we need to do a lot of approval before we bring technologies into a car. We need to make sure that parts have the right quality, that the technologies are mature enough, and all the so on. And we have a defined kind of technology timeline, development timeline, development schedule. And it's not like, unfortunately, there is a new technology coming on the market and we can directly use it. We need to go through all the material tests and all the material validation, which takes a bit of time, which means we are not always the first to integrate a technology. We are the first to look into a technology, or we want to be at least the first to look into technology and want to evaluate it, and then transfer it. But this takes some time, and some people are unfortunately a little impatient, but we are always looking into it. What's another lesson learned, I think, is that the cost is really, really key in the end. If you want to come into a car and can hit the cost of, or can be below the cost of an injection molded part, then I promise we will find an application for it. That's definitely not a problem, because then you have the right driver to go through all the validation and can really save money, which is in the end the most important thing for companies who sell products. They want to produce as efficient as possible. So. And you just need to hit the cost goal or be below it. And what could be a third lessons learned is also that material requirements are really important. I mean, we have materials on the market and we also find applications for it. But if you want to broaden those applications, you need also to go into new materials. More reliable materials, also take into account, for example, refresh rate, which also then refers to the cost in the end again. But also, materials, cost, and
On the materials, we've got a question from the audience asking in particular about aluminium, and they'd like to know a little bit about the role of aluminium for automotive, and what other applications are there for aluminium 3D printed parts in the automotive industry?
Well, a lot of parts are out of aluminium, and I also think that the standard aluminium alloy that's at the moment on the market is quite good to process, and you can have a huge field of applications with this alloy. This is quite similar to the one that we would use in our casting process as well. And you have the big advantage, you can give it to the heat treatment afterwards and can so kind of adjust the properties, that you can compare it or have more or less the same properties as you get out of a casting process. So I think there's a lot of application once you just come to the right cost per part.
Mm-hmm. And this is still really looking at the lessons learned, but it's another great question from the audience here, which is, do you think that the use cases will go across to specialty materials in order to create better use cases / business cases, or will it be through automation of processes to remove manual labor, or possibly both? So are you looking at materials? Are we looking at automation to remove manual labor, or is it going to be a combination? I think that's a good question for all of you, actually.
Maybe I can start with the automation part.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to shout out to the audience a little bit that one thing that I think, not only in automotive, but in the general production environment, is what a problem is that the machine builders let's say AM machines, even post-processing machines, they're only thinking about their own environment, so to speak, and give basically the customer black boxes that can be handled when you go to that black box. But then that's it, and that's not really integratable into a production workflow. If you also think if there's hybrid production, you put a part in injection molding or whatever production method, and then you want to print something on it, then you're suddenly in that environment of highly efficient production that has been there for decades, and then you have to be basically up to the game. And there's also a little shout going out to EOS, because they are really jumping into that field. That's very important. That's very overlooked, to connect the machines to the broad peripheral solutions. That's also something I see.
We've been talking a little bit about challenges, and we're getting into the home straight here. So I want to try to get as many questions in as possible. What challenges remain and how will they be addressed? I'm talking here about supply chains, could be about electric vehicles. We have a question from the audience about the degree of sustainability, which I think we can pull in here as well, and localized production. So it's a big topic, but I'll give you 30 seconds each on that.
Okay.
Take a bit longer if you like.
Very brief. I find this very interesting because I'm just jumping into to show our picture of the future right now already. Maybe I'm a bit early on that. But we can get back to this. You have mentioned very many points that are shown in this slide, where we at EOS have been in contact with many partners and customers to elaborate this picture actually. And this is we have divided it down into more or less five areas here. One area that will develop strongly from our view is the design part, is the red area here. And we see that there's many applications that can be addressed also in like using the full potential of additive manufacturing and also bringing in intelligent functions, but also like exploiting the full potential. This will vastly help to grow additive manufacturing in the first place. Then we have the whole block of full availability in terms of digital factory and production, where we talk about cost reduction and total cost of ownership and those kind of things. Performance needs to increase then we had the question about the materials, and those will also enable new applications and new markets and new fields actually. And we see here the whole area of multi-materials and alloys, but also high-end materials that will be designed, we think, for special additive manufacturing parts. And only with this we can then meet the requirements that we have talked about, that are so different in different areas, and will then with new materials conquer new applications and new markets, we think. And then we have the point of thinking about new business models as well, and also the sustainability that has been addressed right now in the question will play a larger and larger role actually. So I hope that wasn't too much time.
No, it's great. It's great to see this long-term vision here and reaching out to 30 years is it's incredible to see that on the chart.
Okay, yeah. If you have further questions going more into detail on this specific slide here, you're invited to get in contact with us at Innovation Management at EOS, and we can further discuss this.
André, what challenge? How do you see the challenges, and how do you see the vision for AM as well?
So again, I still, I mean, the thing I have to stress is that we have to make it transparent during the complete workflow. That means that opening up the machines, opening up the processes, even the data formats, standardize everything, commit to these common goals, and to all the machine vendors, don't be afraid to open the machine. I don't know why this is such a huge topic now, because this should be actually.
What do you mean by opening the machine? Well,
to make them accessible by third-party systems, for example. That because if you are thinking about it, the customers will have always different technologies, and if you are just open to yourself and your own software, doesn't bring any value to the customer, because they have then 5 or 6 systems, which is not really what we want to do, and that's something that we need to overcome, and that I think is the most promising challenge we have to take.
And Martin, Friedrich, perhaps you could tell us your perspective, please.
Well, basically, I agree with all of them, with both of them, with Martin and André. I think so. What's really key to integrate additive manufacturing technology into large scale production is standardization like on the digital side to integrate it in existing manufacturing execution systems, it doesn't make any sense for us to use a standard that only one machine manufacturer is using and want to bring it to us, that we have to integrate in our production system where we have 20 different types of machines that are all able to connect and to work with our existing system. So there, really standardization and the opening of machine manufacturers is key. Also in terms of physical interconnections, and not on the digital side. Materials, in terms of, you said it, Michael. I think for the electronic vehicles, we definitely, we might need some new materials. Talking about copper, talking about other electric conductive materials, talking about thermally conductive materials. This is definitely something that also needs to be developed, or has been developed to be ready now, but it's only partly there at the moment. And with materials, there also comes sustainability of the whole technology.
Yeah.
Coming up more and more with more regulations, and also with more motivation of companies that they want to produce sustainable. It's just really important, and it's key not to throw away a decent amount of material by every build job, because you otherwise need to have your increasing stock of material, because you have a refresh rate, for example, of 50% of your material, which you can't compensate with your packing density. So all of those things that come together some point, and if you want to bring additive manufacturing to a larger scale, then you need to address all of them at the right point. And I would start with standardization and validation, and this also enables then distributed manufacturing. Because you need to make sure that you get the same quality all over the world if you want to produce, for example, spare parts for the local markets. You can't produce spare parts in I don't know, Europe at quality A, and Asia quality B, and America quality C. This doesn't work. You need to make sure that your machines are running completely consistent, and that you just can supply your customers who want to be satisfied with the right quality and the fitting quality, that they fulfill their needs.
Great. So quickly, we're just going to take a look at the poll that we did. You remember that one? I didn't remember that one at the start. Apologies for that. But what do you think the results were here? So we asked, how will recent global events such as the pandemic, trends towards electric vehicles, change AM in the automotive industry? We've got a very optimistic bunch of people here, possibly realistic bunch as well, saying that AM use will grow tremendously, and that was 59%. Said that. Only 7% thought that AM use is going to decrease, and a third of the respondents thought that the use would stay equal until we unblock the main challenges. What did the panelists think? Was that expected? Was that a surprise, those results?
Who's the 7%?
7%. Yeah, that wasn't me. I didn't vote.
And how much is one person? Okay.
Yeah, so I think it represents my opinion as well. So I think it will maybe not tremendously, but it will grow for sure. And we have proven by use cases, for example, in medical, that AM can rush to help and then also solve problems very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, same goes for me. I think we have a huge potential. There are still some hurdles on the road there, but if we are able to get rid of them, for example, with projects like Polyline or other projects where it's really important that you also get funding, because there is a lot of, and work together with companies and research institutes, then I think you really can unlock those potentials and be able to grow the market and the use of additive manufacturing tremendously. But until then, there will definitely be some consolidation, I would say.
I think that's a great thought to close the panel on, because I think we've had a good discussion today, but I realize we are at the time limit. We're just over. So I'd like to thank you all today for joining us, all the panelists. Thank you very much. It was good to see familiar faces, and also thank you to the audience as well for joining. We'll be returning as well on the 28th of August for the next panel. And Martin, you were mentioning distributed manufacturing there. Well, that's the topic of the the next talk show, which will be taking place with the Boston Consulting Group, Xometry, and Jabil as well. So if you'd like to register for that event, please click the register button that should be appearing to the right of the webcam windows now. And anyway, that's it from me from sunny London. And thank you, all of you. Great to see you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
See you at the next one.